school or looking for a job or.
Okay, so same question. Do you have 5 minutes of the 24 hours a day that we are allowed
You
to?
have to, then you have to squeeze it in. That's what.
Okay, so that's what we don't want to do. We don't want a person to feel that I don't have time for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
However,
Yeah.
So, however, are we going to find people like this in our walk that are really difficult, that are trying to chase after God and they don't know how because they have so many, and Pastor just did an awesome job of displaying it, distractions. Because the reality is, everything that we have going on is a distraction. From the jobs to the kids to it's just big distractions. It's distraction when it comes down to getting closer to God, right? And so because that's a distraction and we're trying to get closer to God, that's a relationship all by itself that we're trying to build. That's a whole nother bunch of classes that we can go into that. So if we can't even make 5 minutes out of our time to build a relationship with Him, everybody else is definitely like out of the picture. And so we have to learn, and when you build in a relationship with Christ, He shows you how to deal with family, how to deal with spouse, how to deal with your children, how to deal with your job. Funny, I just had the conversation with Pastor on yesterday. I don't know what to do. I have a lot going on. I'm trying to do school. I want to, with his job and in the ministry, and he wanted his question. What do you want me to do? What can I don't know what to do. And then so he said, "Did you pray?" And I said, "No, I didn't pray. I didn't pray. But when I immediately got on the phone with him, I did. But at that time, I'm already sitting at someone's house about to braid hair after I just got off working 8 hours. Now I'm about to braid her hair, and it's probably going to take me another 5 or 6 hours because I'm doing it by myself. So didn't have time for homework, didn't have time for the other stuff. So immediately after I prayed and asked God, okay, God, I need help with time management. I'm not really good with time management. I want to do everything, and I would love to help everybody. But the reality is, I'm not able to do that. What can I do?" Immediately, the problem was solved. I left. I didn't do the girl's hair. Mm-hmm. So, but all I'm saying is that we have to find time somewhere. Whether it's with the person that you were given or not, when you get out there and you start building this relationship, like Carol, I heard you say, I've been talking to a whole lot of other people. That wouldn't happen if you didn't make time. If you use the thing that I have to do this, I have to do that, and even if it's not with her, try to find time for somebody else in school or on a job, just a conversation that you normally wouldn't have. I really, truly, really, really wish that we would connect to the people because it's letting me know that it's something there that we are having a problem with in building relationships because it starts here. How do we go out and build these relationships with the people in the world? We can't even love on and build relationships with the people in the church. And so that's big. We have to find time somewhere. Pray to God. Ask God, God help me manage my schedule throughout the day so that way I can pick up a phone. You're right. I might not can meet with Carol and give her 30, 40 minutes or an hour of my time, but I can give her 5 minutes just to check on her and see how she's doing. She can do the same, and vice versa. We all can learn to be better. We have to, because again, what is our ultimate goal? Yes.
One drawback where people may be reluctant to connect is that there's not a common agreement as to what the conversation is going to look like. And let me clarify, for example, me and you, if we know that we're in the middle of something, we'll just say, "Hey, I'll just call in real quick just to say hi, love you, okay, love you, boom, boom, click." Take that from last night, I think I talked to you. Yeah, and we talked for 30 minutes. Because my intention was only just to do a quick check-in, but I don't think me and him have that relationship to the point where we kind of know he can communicate like some kind of signal or something that says, "Okay, I'm busy right now. I'm not trying to say I don't have time for you, blah, blah, blah." And I try to lead in with, "Hey, I'm just calling to check on you real quick." But then that could be a 30-second conversation versus when that happened. And then it turned into, "Okay, I got to do this." And I'm like, "Yeah, I got to do things too. I have to finish finish up that 501c3 application. But the Holy Spirit put it on my heart to call and check on him. But I think it's easier for me to just call him than to call Robin. So while one thing is to try to have those codes together, but I think it'll make it easier if I know I have a code with her to say, hey, I'm just calling to check on you. Hey, just a quick minute just to say hi. I think she'll be more apt to answer the phone. I'll be more apt to answer the phone if I know it's just gonna be a quick minute versus answering the phone and you think it's gonna turn into another 30-minute conversation. Then you get the awkward, I gotta leave.
What's the I in Bill?
Invest.
The one of the ways I believe that can happen is that I have to invest. You gotta start somewhere. So if that is a good thing, and I believe it is, I gotta have a conversation with her when I see, like right now, she's in my view. She's not out of my view, but she's in my view. So before you leave, I just wanna let you know that on Tuesdays, I'm at school, I work all day. I get home, maybe you can catch me at my driving time. So now Robin has this idea of what my schedule looks like, and I have an idea of hers. So when we separate and we don't see each other again all week, I can say, well, she did say, she got an hour driving home. I could probably try to catch her then. That's all I got. Yes.
Well, I was thinking more in terms of the techniques. So, like last week or the week before last, Carol was talking about how to hug somebody that, somebody comes from the street and they've got pee smell and all kind of snot running down their nose and everything, and they have slobber coming out their beard and boogers running on their ears and stuff like that. That you may not want to hug that person and embrace that person, and so you have a technique whereby you grab the person and kind of, grab their hands and you take control of the situation. And I was thinking of maybe we would work on a technique for that type of deal. How do you have a technique to where you can politely let somebody know that, hey, I'm just calling for a quick call, or if you answer the phone, hey, I only got a quick minute, what you got, without being rude. So maybe we can work on some techniques like that, that's all.
Well, what if it's just because, some people don't like answering the phone, like you said, but what if it's a text message? Now, sometimes you can give somebody a heads up, like, hey, are you free? I was just going to give you a call really quick to check on you, but you don't receive anything back. So how do you deal with that?
See, that's another technique. For me, text messages, I am getting, it's weird, but I'll give you an example so you know where I'm coming from. So Sunday, I was trying to do a lot of things before we came to church, and I was trying to fix the toilet stool because the water thing wouldn't go, and I wanted to get the part because I know Home Depot closed kind of early, and I didn't know how church was going to go. So I went, and I went out to go buy the piece, and as I'm getting in the car, I go to pull off, and I look down at my phone, just so happens, so I was about to play music as I'm driving off, and I got out the parking lot, and I realized I had a text message saying that don't forget to drink them. I'm not really good with text messages, and that's just me personally. I'm more of a call, leave a voicemail, kind of old school like that piece of it. So I think one thing to consider, like Callie had said, maybe the person may not be as amped with text messages as per se somebody else, because I know a lot of people at work, they can text and their thumbs are on fire on how fast they text. So I think it just depends on the person, and there's no one right answer for that.
Right. No one right answer, nor everybody's different. Like you have a texter, then you have people that do want to pick up the phone and call, then you have people that wait until I see you in person. I just look at it as that you're planting seeds. Like in Carol's scenario, if I text the person and they didn't reply back to me, the seed was still out there. They are going to eventually pick up that phone and see it. It may be a week later, I don't know how many days later, but as long as you're trying to get through, eventually, it's like chipping away at something, eventually you'll get to, and then maybe that's just not a person that you'll ever connect with. But however, if we don't do anything, where are we standing with that one? If I pick up the phone and you left a voicemail and say, hey, just wanna let you know I was thinking about you, and then in your case you wanna have like a code. The problem with the codes is that we've been married 9 years and we still look at each other like, yes, are we leaving? No, right now, no, okay, let's go. So try to imagine that to a person that you are trying to connect with. It's gonna kind of go over their head. So it's one thing to show a technique in regards to, oh, okay, Robin, when I give you a call, if I call you twice, if I call you once, there's nothing wrong, but I call you twice, it's an emergency, and if I text you and I call you, you need to answer like right now. I mean, yeah, we can do that, but is the person still gonna pick up regardless?
Consistency.
So a person keep calling, what does that mean to you?
No, I mean, over and over like the same day.
No, right, but if they call you every day, once a day, just keep calling
you're gonna eventually, like you said, pick up the phone. You're gonna eventually talk to them. You're not like a telemarketer 3 times a day.
Not necessarily. Because there was a brother that went to a particular church, and I was calling, and I try not to be on stalker status, saying like to call the once. But we had a really good relationship. He would come around with Marshall, but I didn't realize this at the time, but something had happened at the church he went to, and he left the church. And unfortunately, my association being a leadership in church, I think he kind of attributed that to that piece of it. But, so I called. I called off and on for about 3 years. And the person never responded, no response to text, no response to voicemail. So I think you can have those situations like that, which kind of goes back to this invest. For me, being a finance person, invest is a money term. And so you have to kind of take away from the money term, because Robin, if I say as an investor, I want to invest, I'm looking for a return on my investment, right? Because, I put money in, I need something back. So for me, the invest piece of it, it's more or less of a delayed response, and we have to be honest with ourselves how much we're willing to invest in that person of our time. So if it gets to the point where I'm looking for something in return, I think I've invested too much. Does that make sense? Yeah, so that's where I think you kind of have that guard. If it's more of I'm doing this for the glory of God, yes. But if it becomes more about me and what I'm getting out the deal, then I think that's where it kind of brings up. I do know one technique that I'll throw out there for is the quick call, is to be transparent that it's a quick call.
Yeah, and say it before you start, yeah.
Right. Hey, I just really wanted to call you real quick. I'm in the middle of some things, but the Lord placed you on my heart. And
yeah, I mean, you can do that same with a text. I can send a text out. I think one of you guys said it. Text, say, hey, I'm going to just get ready to call you if you have time. And then kind of just go on about it. I think my whole thing is, I say do it. Do it because you feel like the other person's not replying. I wouldn't back off of it. I would continue to try to do it. And, hope and pray. And then pray for the person.
Yeah,
Are we praying?
he's always so
Are we praying for our person?
yeah.
Are we praying for our person?
That's why I'm just as guilty as he is, because I'm like, he's so busy. I don't ever know when to catch him. And I don't want to be him in the middle of something and him trying to answer the phone. You know what I mean? I'm looking out for that. I don't know. I always do that.
Well, the other piece is comfortability too. Like I said, you'll probably feel more comfortable calling Callie than you would me, because you two have time together. Just like yesterday, I could say the same thing, but I found minutes to call him.
But that's your comfort. That's our comfort zone, where she's trying to get us out of that.
Right.
And so me
I think
and you are both guilty.
I was just gonna say the point is getting out of your comfort zone, and the point is trying, and you never know until you try it. So one day you decide, you know what, I'm gonna call pastor. Now, if it's a bad time, he'll obviously say, okay, you know what, this is not a good time. Is there a way that I can call you back in maybe 10 minutes or maybe 5 minutes within an hour? But at least you reached out and he acknowledged the fact that you reached out. But again, you'll never know until you do it. And then when you do it, you'll figure it out. Okay, well, maybe that wasn't a good time, but I'm sure he'll get back to you and let you know, oh, I apologize about it. So it's stepping out on faith pretty much and, you know, knowing that, okay, I'm going to try it. You got to try it.
And then one thing I would add is that once I eventually get the person back on the phone, because you'll get the person eventually, I've known him to say, I'll call you back, he'll call you back, you know, or text you back, he'll get back, or you're going to do right here what you do. You're going to see him on Tuesday, or you're going to see him on Sunday. You'll see him. And so when
It's
you
not
get
like
that
we
person,
haven't talked, it's, we
right.
just haven't got to, like.
no, I know, but all I'm saying is that when you get that person face, that is the time to build the connection. If you know that it's hard to build a connection with the person over the phone and you're not getting the person, when you're with the person, are we trying to ask a question like, hey, what works for you? Are we asking people these critical questions so that way we know? If we all are agreeing that pretty much everybody in here has busy schedules, okay, then that means that I can give you 5 minutes. I can give you 5 minutes. Let's be honest. I do a whole lot of things in way more than 5 minutes. So yes, my schedule is extremely busy, but I'll give you 5 minutes. And especially if we already talked and I told you the good times. Now, if you call me afterwards, I'll try to call you back or I'll try to text you back, but it might not be the same day. But all I'm saying is that make sure that you connect with the person once you finally see them. If you're having a hard time over the phone, just try to connect. Yes.
Well, the other aspect of it that I'm thinking as too is that two things. One, going back to that invest, if you look at it from a parent-child situation, the parent invests time into the children while they're young. As they get older, they will then start to reap the benefits of having invested time early on. The reason why I can say that, because even with my own children, I prioritize work over my children because I said they need stability in their life. And my wife prioritized investing time into the kids. And so what happened as they got older, if mom calls, all this benefits come because that's mom. Or that's Aunt Kelly. Why? Because she invested time. Whereas me, I did invest time, and so now that I'm getting older, where I actually need that relationship, need those connections, they're slowly, surely coming here because now I'm learning how to invest time, but it wasn't at times there. So one is the parent part of it, but then the other piece is too, if you prioritize making money, like I did, or prioritize everything else, then it will come to bite you in the butt later on. So that's one aspect of it. But then the other aspect, the church actually suffers because really what should happen is that this group here should become so effective at building relationships to where the people who are not effective in building relationships, they benefit from our building relationships. What do I say? Callie is an expert at building relationships. And so right now, if she wanted to run for president, she probably would make the ballot and be able to either get president, at least get mayor or something. Like, here's the case in point. If she wanted to invite everybody over for her birthday party, which is coming up on March 29th in 2020, she will have people from all over the valley come to that birthday party. Why? Because she's invested time in going to everybody else's birthday party, baby showers, these type of things. So that's the benefit of investing time in that relationship. And so when times get rough, she has people that she can connect with if she really wanted to. Now, me on the other hand, I have God, and so I'm learning that, okay, that's good, but where's the church? And I think we've kind of gotten lazy in that regard. We kind of sat back and got comfortable. Not lazy. Lazy is not a good word, but comfortable. And we're waiting for somebody else to build a relationship with us versus us stepping out, like Carol said, on faith and investing time in people to build that relationship. Because we may not see a benefit immediately from that.
That, and then here's another, here's another one to piggyback off what you just said. We don't see the benefit, but we also looking at the person as that, I know them, like, we good, like, that, I don't need to really do that with them. But the reality is you will learn something by investing in someone different that you are uncomfortable with. We know them, like, I know my husband, but I still know that I need to build a relationship with him. I can't just, like, stop right now. There are still things that I can learn about him after all these years. I'm still learning, and he's still learning about me. And then you have the newer person that one of the young people that just walked in. I know that's a big relationship that I have to build. That's like ground up type of relationship. So I'm going to pour into this person. And yeah, Freddie and I might not sit around and have a conversation, but when Freddie wants to talk about something, I just listen to Freddie. But what I'm really doing is connecting with Freddie, because Freddie said a whole lot of stuff to me, and I am taking parts of what he said to me, and I am remembering those things so that I can reference it back when I talk to Freddie again. I need to ask Freddie how he's doing, how that interview go, Freddie, how this go, how that go. And Freddie is looking at me like, okay, she was listening. He might not say it, but he's more eager now to have another conversation with me, and then another conversation with me. And he might even let me go a little deep and tell me a secret, or he might do this, or he might invite me out because I'm listening to him. I've turned on my active listening ears. I shut my mouth and I turned on my ears, and I'm listening to him, and I'm listening with my heart. And he can see and sense my heart, because I'm not like, well, I think you should do this, maybe you should do that, and I wouldn't be able to do that. You can't do that. You can't be judgmental when a person is trying to build a relationship. You literally have to take it in. It's okay, and offer. Do you mind if I say something? You can't just expect a person to accept what you're going to say. I have to say, can I share? You're okay with I share? Okay, and then I'm going to say something. But I'm still going to be very sensitive on what I say, on the subjects that I say, because again, you're talking about like a babe in a relationship, like a babe in Christ. Everybody ain't where you at. Everybody can't take as much as you how you used to giving it out. So I gotta go real slow. I gotta make sure that this person is okay with me. Yes.
You know, one thing that you was talking about earlier about what kind of success or failures or things that you have that you tried over the week. And when I was sitting down listening and I was getting stuff ready, in my mind, I was like, wow, I didn't have no success. You know, I didn't go through and use the technique until I remember I went to the store and I went to Total Wine. And what happened in me going there, I remembered the guy. I didn't remember his name, but I remembered his face. And I remembered he had told me something about a car. And that's literally all I remembered. And I brought that back up to him about the car. And I said, how did everything go with your car? I know your car was getting fixed. And he kind of looked at me. And he says, oh yeah, about the repair bill. And I was like, yeah. And then he started talking and was telling me about the repair. And it started to come back to me. And he was telling me more. And I was like, oh yeah, okay, yeah. So did they reimburse you? He was like, no, they tried to jack up the price. To make a long story short, I couldn't figure out why I made a connection with him, but I remembered that he was telling me the reason why was because I drive a Volkswagen, and he was telling me that that was actually something that Hitler had put off. And so he started getting into Hitler and the Nazis and how they, after the World War I or II, whatever world it was, II,
Education.
yes. After all of that
I
happened,
just fed into his education.
no, I'm listening.
Wow.
No, I
He
was saying,
connected with
but
them.
everything he was saying was all educational. So you were really.
No. The whole conversation was about his car. I literally wanted to walk away and leave. I just asked him about the different bottles that were on the shelf, and that's all I wanted. But I remembered that though, and then he said all of this stuff, and I was trying to remember why I made the connection. But to make a long story short, going back to your judgmental piece, he started talking to me about the Nazis and Hitler and how that happened. I'm like, oh, damn shit. And so I'm listening to him, and then he started talking about Trump. And I'm like, okay. And he was like, yeah, because Fox and MBS, whatever the news thing is, Fox News,
Oh, wow.
Fox News and NBC or whatever, they're the only two real news things. And I didn't say nothing. I just was nodding my head. I was like, oh, okay, you know, and just kind of connected with him. Then I did a research study, but you really cannot be judgmental. But I saw his face light up when I started to kind of tell him about the car. So anyway, that was a success I had.
And it's a good success. You found a connection. You found, he turned on his active listening ears and he was able to go back and make it. And it's
I didn't
literally,
judge.
and you judge, right, because he could have, right? You
Yeah,
just,
the whole Trump thing,
all right.
Nazis and
It's only hard when we make it hard if we learn to, I'll keep going right here, and we just learn to just kind of listen to people. People just really want to be heard sometimes, and they want to know that you are listening when you are sitting there with them. And so we can learn to just start there. If we can't start anywhere else, then to me that's a really big step. To be able to repeat a person's name back that you never knew before, and to be able to say something back to them that they said to you. You remember the whole week that went by, and you still can remember that Miss Mary's grandma liked purple flowers. Miss Mary is going to be so amused that you like, yeah, she loved purple flowers. Oh, okay, I remembered you said that, and that meant a lot to me because I like purple flowers. I don't know, just make a connection somewhere. I love her purple. That's my favorite color. And now y'all, whoop, you're bonded. So this is a post I thought was really cool. Encourage one another and build each other up. It's easy to tear a person down, and it is hard to build a person up. And this was the last of is it 5? Yeah, 5. We did the other 6. So if you guys want to jot those down, and we can go assume I'll just be talking about it as you're writing it. We already talked about the first 5, and that was build relationships one at a time. Then we talked about be friendly and make a connection. Then we said ask people questions. People want to know that you are listening. You got to ask them some questions. Tell people about yourself. I like to talk about me. So that one is the easy one for me. I can tell you all about me. I got a lot of stuff to tell about myself, right? Go places and do things. Step out of your comfort zone. Go to those events that you're invited to the museum to just look at the painting that's a splash on the wall. Just go, because it's important to someone else, and if it's important to them, allow it to be important to you. Oh, you can't see it? Okay. And then accept the people the way they are. That was another big one for us, that I cannot change who this person is, but I accept them and assume. Camera made a little bit bigger. Oh, it's the size, yeah. And then we're on assume other people want to form relationships. And so, underneath they say the person that's the meanest. It's funny, in my behavioral health room, I have a guy named Paul. Paul has a tattoo under his eye. He has a tattoo on his neck. His bald. No, he's not bald. He always wears hats, so I thought he was bald. And he's Native American, and Paul walks, and he's a big guy. Paul walks in every day like this. And I'm like, hi, Paul. He was like, that's what he does to me, and so we're into it. Everybody told me that Paul is uncrackable. Nobody's cracking Paul. He just walks around like that all the time, never cracks his mouth. I said, okay, put him in my class. I got him. Put him in my healthy relationship class. So we're in there, and he's, why do I need to be in here? I said, I don't know. You tell me why do you need to be in here. Let's talk about it. And he was like, never mind. He put his head back down. And so how I crack Paul is that at the end of my class, I always play hangman. So I was like, let's play hangman, and let's play for some bucks. We have together time bucks. So I found out that Paul is competitive. Paul likes to win. And so I was like, got him. So at the end of every class, we play hangman. And when Paul won the first time, Paul gave me the biggest smile I have ever seen for one piece of paper, together time buck. That he could probably do nothing with that piece of together time buck. But he was the happiest person in the world that he won that hangman. But had I not just kept trying and peeling away that onion, I would have never known that Paul had a side that was happy. Now, I don't get the mean person, the defensive type of person, because we're talking about body language. So every time you look at me and you see me, he kind of put his hands back down because he's trying to recognize when he's doing it. And then I'm like, whew, I want some lemon so bad. I'm letting him know, you look like you're sucking on a lemon. You might want to fix your face. He's like, So he does. So again, you're talking about the biggest, meanest, supposedly scariest person. They're crackable. Okay. Don't assume because that person looks like that. Yeah, I'm not gonna go talk to him. I'll talk to her. She's smiling at me. She gave me a little bit of a smile. I'm definitely not gonna talk to her. She has her hood on. She doesn't want to talk. She gave me a smile too. So we pick and choose the people that we want to befriend and think that because they look the way they look or they're not giving us the happiest smile that they don't want to be friends. So don't assume. Overcome your fear of rejection. I think that's a big one when it comes down to building friendships because we feel that if that person does not connect with me or if that person rejects me, oh, I'm gonna be so upset. I'm never gonna do this again. See, that's why I do it in the first place. Because I already knew that the minute I tried to be that person's friend or say something or be nice, that person was gonna give me the cold shoulder. Yeah, I'm good. I mean, why? Why do you ask? You know, we get those people. Why? It doesn't matter, you know? So we have to overcome our own fears. So what does that look like? What does our fears look like? Because we put them on other people.
Stepping out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, that's fear. It's a fear because nobody really want to do it. I don't really want to step out of my comfort zone. Another fear of rejection is that it happened to us before. So we just assume that when we do it to somebody else, they're going to repeat that same behavior back to us. So we tend to only befriend people that, again, look like me, that's smiling like me, or it can be my color, or whatever you want to be. I'm only going to talk to those type of people because I don't know what your type of people is, Robin. I don't know what your type of people is, Susie, because your people might be mean and your people might think they're better. So I'm going to stick with my type of people. And so we assume, why? Because somebody in that other race or they said something mean to me, so I just assume everybody else is the same way. And that's because of the fear that I have in building relationships or talking to people. You okay? What's wrong? Oh, okay. Be persistent. I think be persistent was really good. It didn't even pop up yet, but we were already talking about persistence. Why do we need to be persistent in building a relationship?
Just like you said, you kept on to peel the layers off and to it to where you find out something that y'all can connect with.
Right, and what about the people that you still are not able to connect with? Do you quit because I don't have time? You gonna give up on me because you can't make time for you? Martha, you ain't gonna quit on me, are you, Martha? So what do we do? Like, you know, like I don't know what to do. Like, she won't reply back to me, so that means that there's nothing happening here. So let's go, give me somebody else. And then let's give me somebody else. And oh, that person was able to answer the phone. They answered the phone, but we ain't got nothing in common. Now what? Now what do you do with that one? Now you got a person that's on the phone all day long, but they ain't saying nothing that you want to hear. So how do we deal with that
I
problem?
mean, you just maybe do probing questions, like, you know, keep asking different stuff to see what sparks the conversation, and then you go from there. So you find something like the example that Pastor and Mama did with the whole chair situation. Let's take it back to that. You know, she mentioned the chair, and then he remembered from going to the store, he's seen a specific chair. So it's like, you kind of got to keep throwing stuff out there to see, unless that person rejects it and be like, well, you know, I got to go. So, you know, it was good talking to you, but now I got to go. So it's like you ask all these probing questions and still nothing sparked the conversation. Now they're ready to get off the phone or ready to go. And it happens. It does. So it's like you got to be prepared for stuff like that too, and how to deal with it, or we'll try again the next day. Or
Actually,
next time.
do we quit after that? You did all this and they still didn't give you nothing? Do you pick up the phone and try again?
Yeah.
Why? They don't want to talk to you. They just said they want to talk to you. Why are we going to keep trying? What's the purpose of trying if a person has definitely let you know that there is nothing there, is nothing happening? Thank you for thinking of me, but you can move on.
Do you want to quit or do they want to quit?
Right, so that looks like that is your own rejections. So I've tried, and you know what? I tried 5 times. I gave this person a call 5 times. I texted this person, I haven't seen this person, and there is nothing happening. So, well, that's it, right? I'm free to get out, right? Yes.
I think I never give up.
Why?
Because I am very curious person. So when I see rejection rejection. It's more like I want to know them. Why are they acting like that? One of my friends, she rejected me in the beginning. Like she looked at me like, "Why are you talking to me? You don't even know me." So and I just I was so excited because she speaks Spanish with me and she looked at me like, okay. She didn't even say a word to me, so I'm like, I write it on my phone number and I give it to her, just in case, you know, and I let it be. So she never gave me her phone number, but I just keep hoping that one day she can call me. And 6 months later, she calls me, and she had a couple questions for me. The first question that she says, "Are you Christian?" And I'm like, "Yes, I am." So we started a conversation. Now our relationship is for about 9 years or more.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but it wasn't easy in the beginning. It was something that it was very awkward.
And I think that's where we're all are right now. Those awkward relationships. I know I can do it. I know they can do it, but yeah, let's just leave it alone. So I love the persistent part. I know I'm a persistent person too. I won't give up. You know, I'm with Susie. I'm curious. Like, so it's a reason why, because it's a difference if I came off like really hard, over talking you, not allowing you to get anything, but I came like really subtle. I made sure I matched your tone. If I just did everything that I could possibly do is to let you know that I was welcoming, that you it's okay. And if the person is like you just say, giving you the face, like, why are you talking to me? Like, I didn't ask for your friendship, I didn't ask for your phone number, I didn't ask for nothing. I want to know more. Now I don't want to know more, because it's like, what's going on with you that you have to feel like that, or you have to be that way. So, that's just me, but obviously Susie too.
Yeah, but not everybody is as persistent as you guys are. Me, I've been knocked down so many times that I don't even want to try.
So,
Because I'm afraid of fear. I'm afraid of being hurt. The only one that hasn't done that is this woman right here. But every one of my other friends have done it wrong. So building those relationships, those are hard.
true. My husband gives me this type of praise that I don't know why, but he does, because I guess that's what husbands do, right? About me being an expert in relationship building. When I was a teenager, I had the worst time accepting who I was, the worst. This whole overcome rejection, that's what it was. I didn't fit in my skin. I was told that I was too dark. I was told I was skinny. I had eczema on my legs, so I wore opaque, dark stuff like this and short. I just didn't fit in, and I did everything else so that way I cannot be seen. Making a friend, if somebody came up to me and wanted to have a conversation, I did what Susie's friend did. My mother used to say, "Stop doing that to your face. Like, why do you look so mean?" And I'm like, I don't know. And then like if a person would approach me, Robin, if you were trying to approach me when I was Rihanna's age, I would give you that face like, I didn't actually talk to me. I don't want to be your friend. And why was I doing all that? Because people rejected me as a person. And so I was going to give it back to you before you even remotely had the chance to do it to me. So I gave you the cold shoulder. I did all these things. I was shy. I pushed away. I didn't talk. I never spoke my mind. I never said how I felt. I just let people walk all over me. And it wasn't until this whole enough thing came when I was in my 40s. But before then, I had to realize who I was. And that people are going to say no. I remember my husband saying it, and he says a lot, that out of every, 100 no's or 10 no's, you get a yes. And so that was funny, but I didn't never hear that statement growing up as a teenager. I didn't have the people that was building my self-esteem up. No, I didn't have those people in my life. So I was out there trying to figure it out on my own, learning about people. So what I did when I wasn't talking, I was listening. And so if you say this expert person is, it's because I did a whole lot of listening because I was afraid to talk. And the listening actually paid off for me because I was learning about so many different people by just sitting in this, like we were in this conversation and I was where Mother was at, I would just be listening to what they were saying and how they're dealing with this and how they're dealing with that. I wasn't eavesdropping, but I was learning. Yes?
There's a spiritual side to that as well. So one of the things that I don't want to have to say it, but I'm going to have to say it, is that fear of rejection comes from a place of selfishness. I can say that about myself, and because what I'm doing is that it becomes now about me and not about them. I'm concerned about whether I get hurt or not versus whether they get hurt or not. And so, is it valid? We've all been hurt. Do we have that fear? Well, yeah, some of us. Did it come from God? No, because why? God didn't give us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. So no matter how big or small the fear is, it didn't come from God. Now, if you turn to your Bibles real quick to Hebrews. He's like, oh God. Okay, back to the Bible. Yeah, oh God. Yes, I know. Pastor, Bible, Word, I know. Get over it. Yeah, it was. But if you go to Hebrews, it was interesting. Kelly put up 1 Thessalonians 5:11. You didn't think about that in that when it's talking about building each other up. And I thought, oh, that was really good. I had to go back and look at it. But if you go to Hebrews chapter 10, and Hebrews chapter 10, if you have it, say amen.
Amen.
And if you go to verse 24, Robin, if you don't mind, would you read that verse?
And let us consider one another to provoke unto love and to good works.
So now the relationship then becomes like mom, you said mom is the only friend. Mom is the only friend, right? And so now mom it's where the two dynamics are in place. The Bible said, let us consider one another. So what Callie has been saying and have been advocating for is that we all get to the point where we consider one another. I think a lot of times we consider ourselves, our needs, our wants, but do we ever consider another person? But not just consider, well, let's think about consider. Consider means to think about. In this particular passage, if you go back to the actual Greek word, it actually means to meditate on. In other words, they're pondering and pondering. And it says, let us consider one another to provoke. Now, Rayon, normally when you try to provoke somebody, it's like somebody being messy. You know what I'm saying? They just tag them. They tag them. They trying to get you to start something. Like, hey, have you ever did that in school where you? I don't know that.
You can use them.
No, but in school, people just try to get they picking. My sister used to say that. Oh, you just picking. In other words, you trying to start something. You trying to start something. You know what I'm saying? You just putting some logs on the fire. You just keep poking at that wound and keep touching it. So that it provokes somebody. Now they're angry and everything, and now they're ready to fight, and that's what you wanted. You wanted to see a reaction. Nobody in this room, I'm going to look this way, because nobody in this room has never provoked their spouse to, just pick and start to see a reaction. Nobody never did that to their friends. Nobody has never had that done. Oh, come on. Somebody say amen.
Amen.
We've done that before. We've picked and picked because somebody made me mad, now I'll make you mad. We don't want to get rid of it. So we provoke people to anger, but the scriptures here is to say what? Provoke them unto what? No, provoke them unto what? That's key. Provoke this person unto love. Now, let's think and break that word love down. And a lot of times we just think of love of God. But at some point, when do we use our relationship to provoke them unto loving themselves? It's my job as a husband to make sure that she understands she's the most beautiful woman in the world, so that she loves herself. When I first met Callie wasn't saying I was more than enough. So, if you don't mind, right now, talk to your neighbor. What are some things that we can do to provoke each other unto love? How can we provoke each other to love? Talk to your neighbor. Talk to your neighbor. How can you provoke each other to love? Hebrews chapter 10 and verse 24. Any thoughts? See how quiet it is now? That's a tragedy for the church, and unfortunately, it's not just our church. That when you let me make sure I'm on the camera when I say this because I want to make sure the world hears me. When you look at homosexuality, when you look at the murder rate, homeless, the crime, morality in this country going like this, how can I say that I'm doing something that I love God, who I have not seen, and I hate my brother, who I say every day? That's in the Word. I'm not, just look it up. It's in the Word. Because we're busy, right? We're busy. We get distracted, right? I gotta put food on the table. I gotta go to work. I gotta get to that doctor's appointment. I got kids, man. You don't know my kids. We have, you can feel, Satan will help you. If you have some idle time, Satan will help you fill up that time. It's like he be in your ear. He telling you something. Okay. Right? And then when it comes down to this, the reason why we can't really articulate it is because what? We haven't really invested the time to do it. The next hospital, I believe, is in this room. I really believe that. I believe God gave us a purpose, but that purpose will never come out unless I learn how to love myself. Susie, not my good self. I wish it was just my good self, but it's not just my good self. It's the love of myself when I mess up. That love of myself. When I miss the mark, that love of myself. Right, because at the end of the day, when he mess up, you still love him, right? When he breaks stuff, you love him, right? When he jump out the car when the car is still moving, you still love him, right? When he say things that's inappropriate, you still love him, right? And as a mother, you still want him to love himself too, right? You don't want him to think, oh, even though he does his thing with his lips.
Can I jump in really fast? Sure. I like where Pastor was taking this. Let me ask you guys, but just a show of hands, how many of you guys ever poured into somebody? Just gave them love, attention, money, time. Have you ever just did something? Remember? Friends? Okay, yeah, that's it. Okay. How many of you guys ever did it when you was tired? When you were tired. You still poured, you still loved on someone, you still gave them your time.
Can somebody give an example of that? Because that is...
Like when you fed up, maybe?
When you are in need also and you still give, or...
Right, so, I have a lot going on in my life, right? And Carol called me up and was like, I just need to talk to somebody. I just need to know if you could come over right now because I need you to pray, and we went. Or I just need somebody to do this really fast, and you just looked at your account and it's nothing really in there besides, just a few pennies to make stuff in. But she just needed $10 and you gave it to her. How many of us ever done that? Right, and I can attest that we've all done it before. So where am I going is that we find time to invest in other people, but we won't find that time to invest in ourselves. We pour out of us things that we didn't even know we had in us. Like we give people like a part of us that we've never even experienced before. When we find people that we know and love to be in need, we are there. We are the Johnny on the spots. We are the pick up the phone answer. We are sitting in hospital rooms late at night. We are praying. We're doing all these things. And here's the thing, a lot of us say, I don't know how, I don't have it in me. But you just poured everything into somebody else. So sometimes we don't think we have it in us. We don't think we know how to do it. But just kind of remember back when the aunt or the uncle or the children or the husband or the wife, they called you and they were and they needed something and you were hurting at that moment and you knew you couldn't really do it, but you did it anyway. You didn't know where you got the strength to do it because it was only God that gave you that strength, but you poured something else out. And were you empty at that time? Was that it? You had nothing else to give nobody else. I gave Carol everything I had. And then Mama calls me. Do I have anything left to give Mama? Of course I do. I'm going to give something to Mama too. And guess what? And I'm still out of it. And Robin, you about to call me now? And I'm going to give some to Robin. And then Freddie might call me. Then I'm going to give some to Freddie. We don't know what's in us until we start like getting into situations. And then you are forced to give and give and give. And it's not just money. It's literally time. Sometimes people just want you to come over and pray or talk to them or talk to their kids or do this and do that. And you do it. And you find this strength that you didn't know you had in you and you do it. And so we're doing it for people that we know. We're doing it for people that we love. Now we need to learn how to do it for people that we do not know. How do we invest and pour into those people? Yes?
I have to jump in here because we have to hear. The Bible says if you have ears to hear, let them hear. Because sometimes you get so depleted and you feel like you have nothing else to give. It's hard to pour into yourself when you're in that state. And that's where us as the church, in this core, this room, have to hear and be mindful of that to do things to provoke. Robin, can I use you as an example? So she was transparent and said that I don't want to get rejected, I want to get hurt because she's the only friend that I've had. So now that's a couple of things. Number one, that shows me somebody that needs to be built up. Because if that continues down this state, that makes her more vulnerable to the enemy. So that means that you, as being the main source, have to feel and build it up. And then and again, it's just our flesh. Oh, okay, she was saying that because she's my friend. And then that's when you come in to build her. Oh, he just saying that because that's my husband. But then Martha comes in. Then Susie comes in. Then Carol comes in. Then Pastor comes in. And then we literally not just doing this facade stuff, but we do something that's specific for Robin. To provoke her to where she don't have no other choice but to love. It, excuse my language, pissed her off so much that she started loving me. That's what the word provoke actually means. It made you get up and just like, okay, I gotta love myself. Okay, I have no other choice. I'm doing the same thing to her. With this relationship, she done said it a couple of times. I don't know why he think I'm this expert. I don't know why he thinks I'm this expert in relationships and stuff like that. But I am putting into her and building her up like, no, from what I'm seeing, you are an expert and own it. Come on, church. This is yes.
Yeah, amen.
See, y'all missed that opportunity. Everybody should be like, amen. You missed that opportunity. Why? Because that will build her up in that regard. There's things that I'm weak in, that I feel low in. But if I come around you come around the family, this is where I get built up. And then as we build each other up, we come to a fire. And then when people come in who are depleted, we got this blazing fire with this 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 of us. Now we can pour it to somebody else who's depleted, and now they filled all the way up. And now we have time to.
No, No, I can build a relationship. I don't have an issue with that. It's that fear.
But
Being rejected and being hurt again.
yeah, but that's because you're broken.
Yeah, but I've got,
But when that filled up, man, it ain't gonna matter what somebody get. Let me stop. When you running on high, it's like these kids. These kids, they don't care that he running around the church. They don't care what they why because they ain't broken. They filled up with love. Why? Because God filled it up into her, and then she pours it into them, and then because they're in the home, we reinforce that love and tell them, come over here. He's the happiest thing in the world. He running around, all kinds of stuff. He got energy at 12 o'clock at night, talking about some soccer super punch, super kick, super. I'm like, what the? We all tired and everything. Why? But as we get older, we get broken, we get hurt, we get all these different things that the enemy takes from us. He takes a little bit more. He takes a little bit more. But the last time I checked, the enemy is defeated. And he has to restore everything that he stole. He stole that self-esteem. He stole the confidence. That's why it's important to be a priest of the home. Oh, man. Oh, I know. If the enemy can keep us working, and keep us busy and all this other stuff, then the enemy can come in the back door and start stripping away and pulling away. And then you wonder why he's coming home, and then all of this ignites.
Amen.
We got to pour back in.
Yes.
We got to pour. And we got to pour. And then where do we get our source from? From him. Dr. Tony Roach wrote a book, God's Love Bank. And it talks about exactly that. When somebody is depleted of the love they have in them, it's hard to give you something when you don't have it. But all it takes is us right here. When we see a need, we pour into it. Not just monetarily. That's easy, right? That's the easy part.
Right.
Not just Robin, but Rayana too. Everybody said Mark enough.
I'm broken.
Let me get some. They got love on you real quick. Sister.
Can I share something?
Mm-hmm.
I was realizing that a year ago, last year, I through my application through USCIS. So obviously you have to have a letters of the people that they know you. So I asked a couple people that if they can give me a letter. So when I was reading the letters, one of the letters, to be specific, one of them, it really broke me and really made me realize that I never see myself that I was that type of person, kind, love, caringness, and I'm like, wow, I never see myself the way that they describe me, and most of them, people they don't know each other, so people from different places or different sides of the states. So I'm like, wow. So that really makes me, yes, we have to build others with words. And relationships, it doesn't matter if they're broken. We all broken. At this age, trust me, we are all broken. I believe that. I am very broken. So that day made me realize that I'm gonna walk with faith, and I'm gonna love myself no matter what. Short, tall, or big or small, skinny, white, Hispanic, with my accent, I don't care. I'm just gonna keep the way this is who I am because God made me this way. So if we realize that we are sufficient, we don't have to worry about our brokenness. We have to build others and help others how to be better or feel better about themselves instead of pointing to one each other or putting people down. That was by my experience.
Because that's, to be honest with you, let's go back to our young folks for a minute. They're gonna get filled in for something.
Yep.
And a lot of times, that's why rap, heavy metal, country, what's the other genre? It's a fourth one. That's why they're so popular, is because pop. That's why they're so popular, because it fills in that void.
Right.
And so instead of me realizing that I'm whole because I feel hurt or feel rejected, now I turn that hurt and rejected into anger to build up that wall to ensure that I don't get hurt again. So now it's easy for me, I can relate to a rap song, like, yeah, I'm this person, yeah. Thug old Triple G, Carol, help me out. Triple OG, triple. Thank you. What hardcore, all the way from repping Avondale, Holmes, you know. And so you make this fake identity on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, right? And I gotta wear the clothes to let you know that you don't with me. You know, I gotta let you know I'm that person. I'm that guy. I'm that girl. You know what I'm saying? Then we start making these decisions, and we get further and further, and that's why we get more disrespectful, more away from school. We gotta leave the crowd. Why? Because we're trying to build up this fake identity that we think is who we are when it's not. And all it is because we haven't really, it's so many relationships that we've missed. So many souls that haven't been saved. Why? Because of this fake identity.
Yeah.
Carol wants to read something off first before I kind of wrap it up. Susie and, well, a couple of people, when we were at Susie's house, you guys were asking me what I was writing. But there is this app that First Lady had me download, and it's called The Words of the King. Now, this is something that my Instagram, I've turned it into like a motivational speaker for women for this year and for the years to come. But I'm just going to read you guys this part really quick. It's about love. It says, you look for my love to be shown by those around you, and you're disappointed when they don't give you what you're looking for. Remember, my daughter, that they can't give you what they don't have. They must be filled first with my love before they can give it away. So pray for them, that they will receive my love. Pray that they will let me love them and be good to them, instead of being sad and disappointed. Pray for your loved ones. They need to be loved on by me. Then and only then can they give away to you or anyone else. So the prayer is, Father, thank you for helping me understand. I get it now. We can't give what we don't have. Fill my loved ones with your love. Pour it on them and help them to receive it. Satisfy their deepest needs and use them to share that love with everyone around them. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I think that was really awesome. And like I said, I shared it on my Instagram because a lot of times that we be looking for love in other people and other, men and everything like that. And it's like, if they don't have it themselves, then how do you expect them to give it to you? So instead of being sad or being disappointed, it's like, pray for them that they receive that love so that way they can give that same love to you that God gave to them.
Can you forward that to the group as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's good.
So, you say that? Yeah. So let's wrap it up right now. Okay. You want to pray it out?
I do want to open it up to before we do pray for the class, open it up to the class. Any final thoughts? Talk to your neighbor real quick about what is it that you picked up from this class today? Like, what did you learn? Okay, Kelly, can you go further?
Who got one?
I thought Mama had raised it. I'm trying to break it.
I'm looking at
Yeah, hey, also too, I was sitting there thinking about this. Can we talk to people who who we don't live with, can we make that a rule? Because, you know, we normally, we live with them, and they talk, and it just becomes more of the same thing, so maybe we get with somebody else, okay? So, I was gonna talk to Ray. You talk to Ray? Oh, you already talked to Ray already?
No.
Okay, let me talk to Ray. Oh, let me talk to Robert, because I didn't talk to Robert.
That's what I'm saying, I thought.
See, yeah.
No.
Oh, talk to
I'll talk to
Ray.
Ray.
Yeah. There you go, First Lady. Tell her. All right. Is he there?
We need to learn to love others, which I can do.
You do well.
And, I mean, I think I'm getting better. The Bible, my best friend. That we need to come out of our comfort zone and just do try, without admission and it's not that I haven't tried, I don't try, I haven't tried. You're just so busy. It's hard to do as a pastor, because you're very busy. But, even if we just say, hey, how much stuff I'm just working on myself, not just as a missionary, because I've been on myself. It's getting better.
I would just say, life is tough for her all the time.
I know if I got a lot of but I mean, I can go focus on trying to get things where I talk to people. I talk to people all over this world.
Well, it kind of touched on the point about the transparency. One would hurt. Like, it's hard for people to admit, put you in a vulnerable state, right? And that takes time to heal. And the only person that can feel that is him. And even
But I learned, I you I'll give you the source and where it's coming from, so you can disagree with the person or not. That's a massacre, but the message itself. I'm from Preston, preaching message, and one of the things I agree with, and I never saw it this way, is that the church is so privileged when it comes down to forgiveness, and we use that. You take the passage and you take it out of context. And so, you have to forgive, follow, forgive. That was before the cross. After the cross, the reason why I am able to forgive is because he first forgave me. There are some things that people have done to us that hurts us so much that to ask a person to forgive or to demand that of them to forgive
before they have experienced God's forgiveness, it's almost playing into the hands of Satan. And so what happens is we try to fabricate this forgiveness and try to it comes from somewhere, then there are some that we try to fabricate this and it just doesn't really happen because it's not there. She kind of said it in that piece because until you receive forgiveness and experiencing the forgiveness and everything until you have an honest picture of who you are and an honest picture of who he is, that he really loved me, all of the crap, the dirt, the nasty, the secrets that nobody else knew about. He loved me still in spite of that and forgave me and made me just as righteous as the pastor, just as righteous as Jesus Christ. He did that for me just because, regardless of how many times I turned my back on him. For me, it was when I came to that realization of what he did for me. It made it easier then to forgive people. But that didn't happen when I first got saved. That didn't happen overnight. I've been preaching for a while. And then I got to that realization. And when you get that, then it becomes easier to forgive. It's hard to forgive. I have nothing to do. And I have to understand that God is but that came from I didn't right. And so that's where but that's what I'm trying to tell you and everybody else. Don't beat yourself up. Or don't try to fabricate forgiveness. I would have told you that because you were trying to right. No, you have to just continue, Lord, and until you fix this has to be over. You have to keep everybody else until this is right, nothing else will be right. Do me a favor. Turn to Ephesians chapter 1. Because there's some things that God told me to do. And I'm just going to speak. What technology is now, right? So technology has I have used this. So I used to kind of write this scripture. That's how well I know. But now that I have technology, the Bible says, the apostle of Jesus Christ, by the will of God, to the saints who are as officers, to the faithful in Christ, grace be unto you from the God our Father and from our Lord Jesus Christ. Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Christ, who have blessed us with all spiritual blessings in heavenly places. So the first thing that we're blessed. Not with just some, but all spiritual blessings. So he blesses with all the spiritual blessings. You think he'll bless with all the carnal things of this world. So for example, spiritual, like you can have a house, like which one is higher, spiritual or
My phone is
phone?
literally where I stay on.
Exactly. So if you're messing with the high things, definitely leave messing with the things. So one of the things that you have to kind of know about yourself is that I am blessed. Whether you believe it or not, no matter. I don't trust what I think you trust. You say I'm blessed, I'm blessed. Lord, it don't look like I'm blessed right now because I don't have money in the account. What's going on? And you talk to him like that. But first, understand that who you are is a big concern. So now, according now read the next one. According
I'm not really used to seeing faces all the time.
She wants to take that baby to
Before I left.
The first day back to work was hard, because I, stayed up all night. Yeah, I'm off on Sunday and Monday. Tuesday through Saturday. We live at 3. Let's drive from the west side to the east side. Once we ever get a house halfway between. The closer I can get to Ahwatukee, the better. I found some houses off of, they call it off of Australia, but to us, Australia is over where I live. And I didn't realize that until I started driving that new 202 that there was an Australia. Well, I was like, the kids can jump over the freeway and get to school, because they can catch that 202 and they can get to school in no time. Yeah, in about 15 minutes. Yeah. So I'm kind of like, the house is a little cheaper in there. Your place to live. I don't care how it's going to be. I can go live in the window. I don't care. As long as I have enough room for my things. If Freddie's working, I'll be working. Freddie starts tomorrow.
Okay, I wasn't even, I was here, go back to work, I usually there.
Did you? Yeah. Yeah, that's how my grandson goes to school and now my
So it's not this weekend,
So my
maybe
that's
next
what we're
weekend.
for 4 years.
Nice.
He'll be able to drive her next year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's getting excited. He's so excited.
It's so geographical, that's not this year, right?
I gotta do this.
Bluish gray croquet hair.
Well, it's only few ones.
I told her, I said, I found out, Kelly, man, I'm like, who's up? If we were to put in just put her in another school for the last few months, it won't hurt for her to graduate from that school. I'm 8 versus.
Yes. What did it say?
I have to read it again. The foundation of the world. Yeah, according to the path chosen.
Yeah,
I'm fine, I like that one.
have chosen us and him. So therefore, now am I blessed. I'm chosen. Now, do you believe it?
I like that one.
Now, what does that mean that I'm chosen?
Yeah.
That's where your relationship comes with him. Because the more you know who you really are, the more you start to fill up with this love. Because you know He made us. He chose us.
That I all know and believe.
So let me clarify knowing.
Yeah.
There's a head knowledge of knowing. And then there is a heart knowledge of knowing. And then there's an application of knowing. A lot of us can know that.
I do believe that, yes. So it's me, like I said, it's me now coming, learning more about myself to be able to move forward and do.
Well, if you knowing more about yourself to the point where you are not afraid.
Yeah.
Because if love and fear can't coexist. So if there's fear, there's not love. It's showing the scriptures. Does you think that's just me?
No, I do not.
That's it.
You,
That's it.
Pastor.
You might have, you did that. This is what he said. I'm sure what God said.
Hey, I've seen you grow as much as I've grown, so. Oh, you are way grown. You were already there. There is no fear in love. There is no fear in love.
So that if I'm fear of being rejected, no. Say it again.
There is no fear in love.
So now, if I'm experiencing fear, then there's no love. Because fear and love can't coexist. If I have love, then there's no fear. Let's read it again.
There is no fear in love.
Say it again.
There is no fear in love.
Say it again.
There is no fear in love.
Say it again.
There is no fear in love.
So, if I have love, then I don't have fear. If I have fear, then I don't have love. See, you start to see it now, right? So now you have to ask yourself, okay, if I have this fear of being rejected, right?
Right.
Then that means I don't have the love. So then that's where I go back to Him. Lord, you didn't give us a spirit of fear. Where am I? Show me where I'm not loving. Finish reading.
But perfect love,
Not that fake love.
that perfect love,
Come on. Cast it what? Out.
without fear.
Woo, I feel like shouting, man. See,
Because
perfect love. Huh? For fear torments.
torment. Oh, it says torment.
When you talk about having fear, the antidote for fear is perfect love. And we know where the perfect love comes from. Because what? God is love. Yes, I thought He is for this. So when He comes in, when you let His perfect love comes in, it casts out fear. So now you have a really simple goal. If I'm afraid, I don't have love. So then God, give me your love. So that I'm not afraid. Because now it's not about me. It's about Him. It's about Him. If I'm afraid of being rejected, it's because I don't have God's love. But if I have God's love, read it again one more time. It's like the way you said it. It just sounds so
no
pretty.
fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear.
So now it's not just fear of being rejected. It's fear of not having the bills paid. It's fear of having my kids not being well. It's fear of sickness. It's whatever fear it is, it's not in love. If you fear that I'm like gonna go to hell, I'm fear all this. No, that's not God. Perfect love, mature love, perfect love casts out fear. God's love, agape love, casts out fear. You see the growth, and you see the growth. The growth that you're seeing is that inside of me, God has placed His love, so now I'm not afraid to fail. Yes, so cool. Yes, I thought I thought. Because the reason why I didn't start the church, because I feel I didn't have this, I didn't have this, I didn't have this, I didn't have this, I didn't have this. But now that I know God loves me regardless of all of these different things, it's helped me to realize that if we did nothing else in the church, we've already been a success. If we shut down the doors and went home and went to Iowa somewhere and lived on land, we did nothing else, we've already been successful. You get that perfect love on the inside, you will feel it. You will know it. Because you will love yourself. You can come into yourself and you'll look in the mirror. And I'm going to tell you, at first it's hard. Especially when I was addicted to pornography. That was hard to say that, wait a minute, I'm still the righteousness of God. That God still loved me. And Robert, sometimes I was in tears. And tears, full-blown tears. And I heard the Holy Spirit, just like I hear you talking, say it. Like literally screaming it at me, say it. I'm looking in the mirror after just getting through this. Phone still in my hand. And I'm having to say this. Oh my goodness, but and got to the point where I finally, after the tears and all that stuff, and I went to sleep and I felt so ashamed and so guilty. And then eventually I started to heal, and then I got to the point where, fine, since I'm righteousness of God, I'm just going to do it anyway. You know what I'm saying? I ain't in trouble anyway, you know, and then eventually it was like, he just took it away from me. And it just wasn't a thought in my mind, and because why? I started filling me out. God's love. As He filled me up with God's love, I started to connect. And I started to be able to love people when they messed up. Because I realized how I was. Because I realized, okay, I wasn't always right with God. And God dealt with me. And He forgave me. And just took this away. Then I started to, then it got to the point you grew even more than that. Then you can start to realize the fake sheep from the real sheep. Because the fake sheep, the wolves that come in sheep clothing, they're going to attack you. You better do this, you better do that. And all it does is make me what? Afraid. The perfect love does what? So if I'm afraid, oh my goodness. So now you can look at people preaching a whole totally different way. You can look at it a whole totally different way. They telling you what you ain't. Oh man, you gonna go to hell. If you don't do this, you gonna go to hell. They haven't matched you. You can tell they got some sin in the closet somewhere. They haven't been delivered. You can tell. They have not been delivered. Why? Because when I was preaching and I hadn't been delivered, every time I did that, then I get up and I hit you hard. You gotta do right. You try to, because why? Because you're not trying to overcompensate. For the down thing that you did down here. So now if I did this, if I feel this righteousness down here, now I gotta overcompensate and do something really righteous up here. If I did this much unrighteousness, I gotta do 10 times more righteousness to outdo the unrighteousness. So now I'm trying to perform outperform my unrighteousness, and now I'm in this quagmire. And so every time I think I'm up here, Satan comes in to remind me that, no, you're not. You still looking at women. You still lusting. Watch. I get you. Then I'm sitting here having a bottle of wine or something like that, and next thing you know, I'm lusting, and then I fell back in there, and then I feel so shameful. Then when I finally get back, and then, oh man, I'm gonna really do it this time. And you start to get more and more staunch, and your heart gets more and more harder. Why? Because you don't want to go back there no more. So now I gotta really be a Christian now. Oh, I gotta really show that I am for God. Yes, for you. I am for God. You know what I'm saying? It's just you keep doing this performance basically. You tripping. When I finally realized that, no, God loves me for me, whether you do it, you don't do it, God loves me. Yeah, it broke me down into 10, but eventually it delivered me. And I'm like, wow, it's like my eyes are like now open, and now I can see the world. So when somebody does something wrong, yeah, it may hurt me for a little bit, but it's all right. Because I know what I did to John. Somebody... You might be mad for a minute. But guess what? You can feel you crazy. Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. We have God's law. But see now, the old, right, would have been afraid that my manhood was changed. And now I gotta show you I'm a man. Yes, I know.
Oh yeah, that's my favorite color.
That's what she likes.
How are you? Good. Good. My daughter admires me. I like her style.
All right, everybody. Let's say amen for First Lady.
Amen.
Now I want you to praise the Lord if you think she is an expert relationship builder. Amen. We are so grateful to have her in the church. I often think about, I don't know what would happen if some guy was to take her home, because I would be just as lost as yes.
She has to rebuild my character.
Yes, I would be just as lost. I would know where to even begin to all the things that she's done to try to fill those shoes. So thank you for all of those who came out tonight. I pray that everybody got something. And I pray that everybody got a chance to actually build some relationships tonight. Amen. Let's keep that fire going. The fire got started tonight.
Yes, sir.
Let's keep it going. So now we broke the ice. We brought the stick together. We got a spark. Let's not let the rain come in and just put out the fire. Amen? All right, so we're going to pray out. And before we do, I think Sister Martha has something that she would like to request or pray for.
I would like to pray for the Irving family.
Amen.
They go out through something, and the whole family needs prayer.
Amen.
Well, I was asked to pray for the whole family anyway.